Ani Bojo, Sego, Scano, Wache, Tansi, Tunasuket. Bonjour. Hello, everyone. So my name is Jean Becker. I am Inuk from Nunatsiavut, and I've lived in this region of Ontario for much of my life. I'm very grateful for that life with the many opportunities for friendship and community that I have enjoyed on these lands. It is my pleasure to welcome each of you to this year's Indigenous History Month at the University of Waterloo speaker series. Many events and activities have been planned for the month with you in mind. Check out our website for details. This is a time for all Canadians, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, and newcomers, to learn and celebrate the work of reconciliation in this land. As we do so, I challenge and encourage you to reflect, to be willing to learn from our history, our strengths, our cultures, and the sacrifices that our people have made. Let us be mindful that we, as First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, each have our own unique histories and experiences, our struggles and our victories as we have been learning and reclaiming our identities and cultures. Each Thursday of this month, the incredible guests to our speaker series will share their history and experience with you. Through spoken word, through music, in conversations, and in teachings, I guarantee you will come away each Thursday night enriched by all that you will experience. I also know that you will just enjoy the time we spend together with our guest speakers. I hope you have brought with you a sense of anticipation and expectation. We are so pleased that you are here. Now, without further delay, it is my honor to introduce our guest speaker this evening. Myeengun Henry, Indigenous Knowledge Keeper in the Faculty of Health at the University of Waterloo, is Anishinaabe and a member of the Deishkan Zibing, and is a former chief and currently an elective band councillor of the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation. Myeengun is a traditional medicine healer and ceremony conductor. He has worked very hard throughout his lifetime to advocate for Indigenous people and for the earth. And that important work is threaded throughout all the work he does as a radio host and advisor to police forces, governments, various corporations, universities, and colleges. Myeengun will be presenting on traditional Anishinaabe teachings tonight. Please join me in welcoming our very, very special guest, Myeengun Henry.
Oh, miigwech. Just a sound check. I hope you can hear me okay. Okay, that's good. I got a nod and a thumbs up. You know, I kind of think when you do the introductions of somebody, and during the time of my life, I've been very honored and blessed to have lived a pretty, I think, a life that centered around trying to understand, trying to learn, trying to walk this path in the best way I can, and have great people walk with me throughout this life. You know, we think about life sometimes being hard, and it is. There's times when we have to go through struggles in this world, but I can honestly say that the people that I've got to know and the teachings that I've been able to witness and to learn has made every other tougher encounter a lot more bearable. So tonight, because it's June, this month of recognizing the Indigenous people of Canada, I want to give thanks to one of my greatest friends that actually got the ball rolling for this month to be a special month. And you might have heard his name, Elijah Harper. He worked really hard to build the Canadian understanding of Indigenous people. He walked this road that was so unbearable to walk into a country, a parliament, a way of politics that didn't fit the way that we understood things to be. And we were always denied the fact of our rights and having our ability to be heard. But Mr. Harper challenged himself. And when I talk about inspiration, that's one person that'll always be a front runner for me to allow me to understand who I am as not just an Anishinaabe, but as a human being that walks this earth with the integrity of those beautiful people that came before me. I think very clearly of the start of this understanding of life as we see it together, walking on this beautiful Mother of the Earth in unity. So tonight, and if you know Myeengun at all, Myeengun doesn't really put together formal, itineraries that we're going to discuss, because it comes from the heart. It comes from the strength, the unity, inspiration, thoughts, ideas that come through when I sit with the group of people, and it always ends up being a time of learning and enjoyment, because when we get together, our spirits start, I guess, building a relationship. For all the people who are online, people that are watching from this new mode of teaching, where we're doing things by Zoom and other means, I found it challenging at the start, but after getting a little bit more used to the technology, it became a little bit more easier, and in fact, some ways even better, where you can reach out to more people that didn't have to travel to a destination, and they're able to come together by virtue of the internet. So tonight, when I think of the elders who I sat with, when I'd sat with them in a sweat lodge, or when I sat with them around their kitchen table over tea, or being any place where you get the teachings from, it was always so comfortable. But now that we've come to this time in life where we can do this by this virtual method, I want to take advantage of that, because even us as people who have a foundation and a protocol, we can utilize new methods. And I think our people have always been responsive to new methods of teaching and coming together. And I remember doing a funeral service for a person right in the middle of COVID, and I found it to be very, very challenging, of course, but it seemed to have worked. It seems to have been able to achieve the reflection, the ability to pass that ceremonial words and honor throughout that whole ceremony. And it kind of came to me that maybe we can utilize this if it's something we need to do. I know the best course would be to be together and to share this knowledge together, but because this is how we've developed this type of technology, we can actually utilize it in various ways too. And I think our elders have always looked at new ways, new visions and how to work with it. So I come from, as in the introduction, a place called Deshkanzibi, a place that we've taken away the name Chippewas of the Thames, because we come to understand that that was the name given to us by the government, and we decided not to utilize that no more. But I came from a family who went to a residential school right on that same First Nation. Well, my dad did anyway. He went to the Mount Elgin Indian Residential School that was situated right on our reserve. My mother went to the Mohawk Institute in Brantford, Ontario. And of course, in their upbringing, their history wasn't very, I guess, comfortable because of well, all kids were abused in these schools, and my parents were also. And so wanting to take us away from the abuse, I think they decided to leave the region that they came from and went down to the Detroit region, where we were able to, I think, live with different cultures of the same color, like the Mexican community in particular, and we'd be able to blend in their vision probably a little bit better than we would have up here because of the treatment of Indigenous people that they felt within living in Canada and the residential school that they went to. And I can see their point. You know, they gave themselves a chance to grow in a different way after the abuse that they took in that school, and did the best that they could with it. And they decided to raise us, and all six of us together in the city of Detroit, where we learned different things. We learned different cultures. We learned, but we always stayed connected to our First Nation, and that's why there was something about me that drew me back to my First Nation ever since I was little. Got to know people my age, got to play baseball there, got to build a relationship with my own family that come from my First Nation. And it really set the tone, I think, for the future of who I would soon come to be. And it was interesting because if you live in a residential school home and your family has been affected the way that all kids were, there isn't always room for honoring the teachings that we know that we came from. And both my parents were the same. They weren't able to learn those things. And what they did learn was, in their own mind, was the only reason that they got in trouble because they knew some of those things. So they kind of blocked them out of their system. They kind of blocked them out of their way of living. And for their children, they wanted us to probably not pursue a understanding of our own culture just for our own safety. But me being a little bit different, I guess, than my siblings, I kind of challenged that when I got to a certain age, and I've been able to find different elders that told me that there's a beautiful culture that was implanted within me. To be able to find that, I think I could find a destination of life that will be a lot more promising, even though we still face the hardships of being racialized, even in Detroit, where it was evident that the same thing happened over in the United States, but they called them boarding schools over there. And we still fit to that mode of those people that, well, growing up, we were called the vanishing race. And our population was devastated. It was dwindling quite regularly and rapidly. But, we maintained this relationship. And I think this is why we became who we are today by that understanding. And I thank my parents for wanting to protect me. But I also thank the elders who've seen something within me to be able to become who I am today. So with that said, I want to ask you, as visitors tonight, about your own reflection of who you come to be and how you've been able to find your way through this period of life where we're suffering through COVID. We're challenged by various things politically. We're finding, what I've seen in the recent news very devastating, with the loss of those children, not only our children through the residential schools, but what's happening in mainstream society with the shooting of those children in Texas. It weighs heavy on every single person. I think your feeling of misunderstanding of how a life can, or a society can actually carry out these terrible, terrible scenarios, especially with children. And that weighs on my heart every day. But I have to find a way to balance that out, because if I don't, then my whole mind, my spirit, my body goes into a bit of a depression. And if I stay in that depression kind of mode, then I'm not able to fulfill my obligations in the best that I can. And so I found something that I want to share with you. And if you're feeling the same way within society's issues that we have, maybe this is something that we can talk about tonight. This is something that we can share a little bit of what I've come to know and how to balance hardship out in life and to be able to carry through with my, I guess it would be destination or responsibilities as a father, as a partner, as a member of our nation, as a member of society, as a member of the human species that walk on the earth. I still know I have to accomplish things. And the way that I can do that sometimes is by looking around and seeing and being motivated by the other beings within this beautiful world, knowing that our grandmother moon still does her job every single night. Father sun wakes up early in the morning and sends those sun rays down so that we can have light and warmth. And we have to give thanks to those teachings from all of the things that Creator brought to this world. And I think that's where I find the balance sometimes, by sitting on the earth, walking with our mother, the earth, sharing the beautiful sounds, the wisdom of the air, the wisdom of the spirit of the land, being able to produce the nourishment that I require in life, and giving thanks to our mother, the earth, for always giving and supplying us with the needs that we have, the food, the place to walk, the ability to find our medicines, to grow together with our families, with all these surrounding us. And when I do that, it becomes very clear to me that our Creator continues to be kind, continues to give us the necessary needs of living a good life, if we want to seek that out, if we want to find that to the best of our ability, to grow with it, to learn from it. And tonight, June of this month being Indigenous History Month, there's a time now that we need to come out with our stories. One of the things that I heard in life growing up was our elders at one point in time decided to go to sleep. And what they knew at that time was that the stories were being neglected. Our people had fallen into a system that was brought from other parts of the world, and we've kind of fell into a mode of thinking that took us away from our prayers and our thoughts and our responsibilities and our ceremonies. And when the elders were no longer being asked for their services, they decided to rest and not to give of the knowledge that they had. And in this story that I was told, there would be a time when there will be a renewal, that these elders would come back alive and they would wake up again, because the children would start seeking that knowledge once again. And when I think about that, how important it is for us to continue to gather these stories from those knowledge keepers, from those grandmothers and grandfathers that walk this earth, they light up. I see their eyes sometimes grow happily when a grandson or a granddaughter or a child or another member of society will listen to their stories, and they become that wealth again of this monumental growth within a person that listens to their story. And when I think about these elders, I smile still today, because those are the ones who I've been able to sit with for the period that they were on this earth with me. And now, as I come to an age where I think I can start releasing these stories, I can start sharing these stories, because as they were being told to me, I didn't always know that I was retaining them. I didn't know that, sometimes I would walk away from those stories and I couldn't remember the story. It was just like really hard for me to recall those stories. And I'd go home the next day and I can't remember the whole story. I just remember bits and pieces of it. And then you go through life and then you meet other elders and you hear more stories. And then you hear stories from different nations that sometimes sound totally different from the one that you heard. And then I come to realize that our nations that walk on this turtle island have various stories, various, I guess it would be creation stories or legends. And at some point, it became very confusing to me. But at another point in time, it became very evident that those stories were meant to settle within my being so that when the time comes for me to share these stories, I would be able to recall them. And I came to that age now where I think when I hear a story or one comes to my mind, I reach for that very important medicine we call tobacco. And sometimes if I hold that tobacco in my hand and when it comes close to my heart, it'll remind me of a story that I heard a long time ago. And I probably didn't even think of that story for a long time or remembered it. But when that story needed to be told again, that tobacco helped me recall that story in my heart and my mind. And you know what? I tell these stories to my grandchildren now. And now that I think about it, like I don't know where that story or how it stayed with me, but it came out at a time of need. When my grandchildren were, wanting to hear a story about the drum or about our creation or about the robins that come in the springtime or about the fish that swim, through spawning season or the many stories that we've come to know. And when it came back, I was so honored and proud that I found out that those spirits that guide us in life will come to visit us, and probably more than we understand. They'll come at times of hardship. They'll come at times when we need humor. They'll come at times when we want to put our energy toward something that we're so dedicated to. And that could be our job. That could be our partnerships. That could be our friends. That could be many other things. But those spirits that walk with us on this earth, we need to give them acknowledgement sometimes. And what I come to understand was that our tobacco will carry that. We hold it in our hand, and sometimes we offer that tobacco so that those spirits will know that we appreciate that they're with us. And I did come to terms one time when I was a teenager with something that was very, very tough for me to understand. I remember sitting in a classroom and looking at the other students around the room. And I remember very clearly that there was an aura that was around some of the people in the room. And I was looking and I really couldn't understand what I was seeing. It really became quite scary for me because I thought my eyes were going bad or something, or just my mind was playing tricks on me. And I would, at that time, in the 70s, everybody had long hair. The hippies, I was in those days, and they would put their hair down in front of their eyes sometimes. And I started doing that because my hair was long. I from a young age, decided to let my hair grow long. And at that point, when I would start seeing these things around people, I would let my hair go in front of my eyes so I didn't see them anymore. Because it made me nervous and I couldn't understand what it was. So I'd leave the classroom and I would have questions, about what am I seeing? And there was really nobody there that I can ask questions to. Like I said, my parents went to residential school, so they didn't offer those type of teachings. And then some of the elders that I got to meet in the community, I was able to encounter them and have conversations with them, because once you build the trust with them, you can ask questions like that. And I finally started asking questions about what I was seeing, what I was feeling, about those auras that I seen around people. And I was told that our people have very special abilities sometimes. And I think some of you can understand what I'm saying. You sometimes have a feeling or a thought or something comes over you that you can kind of see like in a sense of a vision. And this is what I was told, that maybe I had the ability to see things, or maybe the ability to communicate with those spirits. And I found out that the aura around those people were the spirits that they had with them. And they're nothing like human form. They're like colors, and they're like wavy lines, and they're kind of like things that doesn't look even normal in the world that we understand. And after finding out that maybe that's something that I was able to see, I started forgetting the thoughts that I was crazy, because that's really what I was thinking. I'll be honest with you. During those times, I didn't put my hair in front of my eyes. I wanted to probably not see those things because I couldn't have, there's no explanation for them. So I thought maybe I'm just like a crazy person on this earth. Like nobody else sees what I'm seeing. And this is, and I'm going to be very blunt with you tonight, that I think it happens more regularly to people. And if you don't have the understanding or a place to go and build that knowledge of your special gifts that you have, sometimes you just think you're crazy. Sometimes you think you don't know why you're on this earth, because you're seeing things that other people don't. And I think during that time, I really thought that I probably shouldn't be on this earth anymore, because something is going haywire in my vision and thought. And today, when I think about young people who have a special gift and they're not nourished with those abilities to understand that, sometimes we don't want to be in this world. Sometimes we just think that we're too different. We're too, incapable of being like everybody else. And you know what? These are people that carry those special gifts sometimes, of medicine, of seeing things, of our vision seekers, the ones who have those qualities that Creator gave a very special person. And I come to know that this is something that I had to pursue. I had to find people with the same similar skills or thoughts or ideas that I had. And I did come to some elders that told me to sit with them and to use what Creator gave me, because that will be a gift to help other people. And as much as that didn't make a lot of sense to me in those days, as I got older, it became a lot more clear of why those gifts were brought to me. And now when I think about how I could have just deleted that from my life, I decided to pursue something that I didn't understand. And this is how I've been able to do what I do. Like I do naming ceremonies now, and I do different vision quest ceremonies, and I'm able to do work with traditional medicine. And some of the things that I've been given in my life is something I had to learn and to be honorable to. And so what I've been given was the ability to do various things. And now when I look back at it, how crazy I thought it wasn't crazy at all. It was our spirit, it was our Creator trying to include within me a very special gift that I think Creator decided that I was worthy of. And when I came to this earth, it took me many years to identify with that, coming from a family that didn't practice things, and finding elders that were able to supply that nourishment and that knowledge. And one of the most important lessons that I had from those elders was to go sit on the earth and go and be alone with our mother. Because when you're sitting on the earth with your mother, we call it Mother Earth, something very special happens. She starts feeding you through the way that every mother would. She gives you that ability to feel that the nourishment that comes from the earth will allow us to be healthy and strong. And while that ceremony was taking place, while I'm sitting on the earth, I got visitors that came to me that we consider I guess, our spirit helpers. And I know very clearly that when I come close to a bird, like especially an eagle, there's a very special relationship with that bird. And I also found out that the spirit helpers that help you in life aren't necessarily your clans. Your clans, and if you're aware of your clan, your clan gives you characteristics of the type of person that you are. But your spirit helpers guide you in various ways. And I found out that the eagle was guiding me to see something beyond the earth's plane, because the eagle that we now understand is the highest flying bird, can see the farthest, can deliver messages from Creator, and has been given that role to show beauty on this earth. And when we honor this beautiful Miigwech in our language, and we carry the eagle feathers that come from that bird, we are honored with something very special. And I think what happened to me during that time was that I was given the opportunity to now clarify the gifts that Creator gave me, and that eagle brought it to me in a very special way. By sitting on the earth, being fed that nourishment from Creator, and then being able to open my heart, my mind to what that eagle was passing on to me. And from that point on, I was able to practice these traditional ceremonies, like naming and healing ceremonies, the ones that I do. And I can't do many like some other healers do there, because everybody has certain gifts, and you have to learn what those gifts are and how to work with them. So I can't take on too much. Maybe I see another healer or a person that does work like I do, doing very special things, and I sit there and wonder, like, how come I can't do that? Because you need to acknowledge the limitations of your gifts, and sometimes it's going to be very different from other people. So I can't put myself in the same shoes as another person that has special gifts. I can only understand the gift that I've been given, and that's what I've come to know at this stage of life. And this has been so crucial to me, to my own understanding of where I need to be in this world, where, coming from a residential school, victimization, knowing that our culture was told to us that it was bad, I find it just the opposite now, that the love that we have for being an Indigenous person is sometimes one of the greatest gifts that I can have, because all that we've endured, the takeover of our land, the ruination of our ability to know our ceremonies and our language, now totally opposite becomes more beautiful for me every time I hear a language, every time I use our language, every time I sit with an elder that gives me a teaching, because sometimes this is where I need to be. And this is a very important time in our history right now. We're caught in a world that has developed a system, and sometimes that system doesn't allow us time to go and do those ceremonies, because we got to pay for our homes, we have to pay for our things that we have. And they built a world of work where we spend hours and hours doing our work. And if you love the work, of course, that's understandable. But also, in this region, Creator gave us 4 seasons: spring, winter, summer, and fall. And just for a short time during those 4 seasons, and if I can relay this message to you, to go sit on the earth once during those 4 seasons, once you do that, even if it's just for a couple hours, or if you go through a fasting ceremony, that might be 3 to 4 days, you'll come back with that strength of knowing better who you are. You'll be able to walk this road that we've built for ourselves a lot stronger. You'll be able to ask those questions to your spirit helpers, to Creator. You'll be able to have that very personal relationship with Creator. And all it takes, sometimes we take things we complicate them, but if you very simply take your tobacco and put your thoughts and prayers into that, and sit on our Mother the Earth and ask Creator to join you because you have some questions. Sometimes it's as simple as that, to find out the special gifts that you have as a guitar player, as a singer, as a speaker, as a storyteller, as a bike rider, as all these beautiful things that life has. And you naturally sometimes feel close to those gifts, whatever it may be. If you're an artist, you become defined in what you've come to know to be an artist, and you start to grow with those things. And so this is how I've been able to find my way in this world, by speaking very clearly to that Miigwech whenever I can. And I found out that our spirit bones, the eagle bones that we use in our ceremony, are used for various things. I can call that beautiful eagle sitting by the water, utilizing the eagle whistles that we come to know as sacred. And when I utilize those special tools and those sacred items that we have, it's like asking for that spirit helper to come and join me, because I need some wisdom, I need some thought, I need some answers to some of the questions that I can't find. And so this is why I sit and talk and ask for those spirit helpers to join me. And I know you have them. I think everybody probably could do something as simple as that to be able to grow with it. It's really amazing that, we still have these abilities, even after what those schools tried to do to us. We endured, and we became even better at some of those gifts that we have. So when I think of our history, our ability to know our own self, our gifts and strengths, it's just as simple as that, is to be able to just talk to Creator in the best way you can. Use your tobacco, which is, I think, common in most nations. Tobacco being, I know within the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Cree nations, and even the ones all across Turtle Island, they all turn back to the tobacco. But there's also a common link. We might come from different nations and have different understandings. We might have the Thanksgiving address or various forms of relating through our prayers. But every single nation, the foundation piece is that beautiful land, the water that we keep strong together. And we can do our special protocols, and we can have our variances and our differences, in thoughts about those things. But all Indigenous nations, and I can even tell you that it's not just the Indigenous nations here on Turtle Island. It's the ones all across the world that come into this world knowing that they're part of this beautiful Mother, the Earth, and they have a responsibility. And if we unify all the nations, the white, black, the yellow, and the red nations again, I think that's the foundation piece that we're looking for, to find the unity that I think the world has kind of lost their way. I think when we look at the politics today, the anger, the hurt, and things that are taking place, is because we've lost that ability to unify in that manner. When you see wars, when you see people fighting against each other over interpretation, land, the battles that we've seen in World War I and World War II, and all the world wars that we've seen, it was by definition a misunderstanding of each other and a concept that they could not agree on. And it led to war. So let's take it back further. Let's take it back to that originality of every human being that came to this world. We came, our bodies were made of our Mother, the Earth. They said that, at least in most Indigenous nations around the world, agree that we come from the earth, and our spirit comes from Creator. And at that point of convergence, that's when we walk on the earth. Our feet start to work, our eyes, our nose, our ears. It all comes to life, but it's only there for the time that we walk on our Mother, the Earth. Some people call it an earth walk. It's that very special time when we can only walk on this earth, learn those beautiful teachings from our elders, and then carry forward with the strength of giving that to our future generations to come. You know, when I think of it as simple as that, it gives me confidence. It gives me strength to know that this beautiful wisdom that's been passed down from generation to generation, it's there for us to use. It's there for us to share with our future generations, our children, our grandchildren. And I told this story a number of times when I was carrying those bones of 3,500 years ago. A family came from a community outside of ours, and when I was putting those bones back into the earth, it's almost like they were speaking to me. They were telling me that there was something very special about that wisdom in those days, and very few people on this earth have been able to carry human bones of that age, of that time period. And the archaeologists that were there, they were very, very nice people, and they were very respectful. And as I was carrying those bones in my hands, it was like they were talking to me. They were telling me that we need to honor this beautiful earth. And when we opened the hole where we buried those bones, we did it in our traditional way. We put our cedar down, we put the tobacco down, and we placed those bones like they were so delicate into our mother, the earth. And what they did, once we filled that hole and we put those bones back into the earth, they sent those gifts of wisdom from those days. And these hands became even more gifted. I wasn't able to do certain things, but after that day, these hands were able to feel energy from people and sometimes recreate balance within people who've lost their balance in themselves. And so I've been able to utilize these gifts and these spirits that I think those elders gave me from that time and age, and being respectful of what those bones needed to have happen and put back into our mother, the earth. So that's why I say, you know, our bodies are made from this beautiful mother, the earth. And when it's our time to leave, we put our body back into the earth, whether it's through burial of how we do it today or through cremation. But it always goes back to the earth. Sometimes it'll go in the water, sometimes it'll go wherever, but it goes back to the earth, and our spirit goes back to that beautiful place where our Creator lives. You know, it makes me excited, you know, to think that these things are still comprehensible in our mind. You know, we got to fall back to these stories when things get out of hand, when our balance gets obscured, and we go back to the people who can do those ceremonies, or we just go directly to Creator and ask Creator to look after us while we go through these hard times. I personally, today, you know, we lost another nephew to this terrible disease called drug abuse, fentanyl. And you know, when I was notified that a young 19-year-old kid, a nephew of mine, has started his journey back to this world, back to Creator's world, the family hurts. The family feels that pain. And we all go through these times in our life. They're challenging. But we can also make it through those because the gift that this young person brought to each and every one of us has allowed me to be even stronger about my beliefs and about who I am. It was tragic about how he had to leave this world, but what he did do was to leave us messages that we need to be stronger at our own culture, our own ability to find ways outside of our problems that maybe we won't get involved in addiction. Maybe we can find the solution to our problems by maybe ceremony, by other methods that are healthier for each and every one of us, so that we can, you know, when times do get rough, we turn to things sometimes that calm our nerves. But a song or a story or a talk with your elders will calm your nerves and give you that chance to find that balance within yourself. and I think this is what we need to do. Our jails are full of Indigenous people. Our addiction problems are overwhelming in First Nation communities, in the world of our youth, who are feeling the racism and feeling that they can't compete in this world because of the color of their skin. And we think we're beyond that today, but it's still here. So we need to find that balance through the ceremony, through the wisdom of those teachings, to give us a chance to find that strength within ourselves so that we can find our way through. Yeah, we live in a modern world today, and we have to have jobs and those types of things, but we can do them better if our balance is there, if our strength is there to carry forward with the things we have to endure in life, and try to ease some of those things that we're facing, like climate change, because to leave the devastation to our future generations, to me, it's very offensive, I think, to me, to know that we haven't resolved the problems that we've created, and to leave that to future generations is very, very rude, very, very, it really never should be done that way. So in order for us to know that, we need to sit down and talk about these things, even our diversities, even if we don't believe in exactly the same thing, but we can sit down and have a civil conversation, and we can have our divisiveness, but we can walk away saying that we understand that we can still have our difference of opinions, but we can still be brothers and sisters on this earth. And I think that would alleviate, some of the things that we're facing in this world today. We need to get that back with the teachings of all Indigenous people. I think there's a chance that we can do that, to leave with hope, to leave with integrity and strength. And so I don't know where that came from, to tell you the truth. It just came from my heart. The thoughts tonight, being able to share with you these types of things. So I know you won't be able to keep all those, but they're there in your heart. They're there in your spirit now. And for me, being able to pass those on from the generation before, maybe it'll help you to understand some things that you're asking questions about today, and maybe questions you're going to ask tomorrow. But it'll be there, because all the teachings that you got in your life, from all the elders, from all the experiences, it's accumulated in here someplace, and it'll come out at the time of need. I know that very clear, and I can tell you stories about that, but take it at least from that perspective, that everything you've done in this life has been recorded in a sense. It's in your spirit. And when we come to that time, when it's our turn to leave this world, they tell us that we turn around and we look at the roads that we took. Some of them were good, some of them were not too good, some of them we didn't do very well, some of them we did great. But with all those experiences since you were brought to the earth, it's now time to leave this world. You turn around and you look at all those things, then you turn back around and you head toward the western direction, where our Creator will take us home. And then all those things that we did, we answer to. I think Creator will ask us, why did you think you could do that ceremony? Why did you think that you were capable of helping a person that day? Why did you injure that person? Or why did you, feel or do those things that you did? I think if we knew that at a young age, I think we would start to make better decisions, because a lot of times it's through experience that we've done things in the wrong manner. And maybe we tried to hide that. Maybe it'll never be heard of again. But I think at that time, that's when Creator will ask us those questions. So if we know at a young age, maybe we'll make better decisions about all the things that we do in life. And I just wanted to kind of conclude with that in a sense, just so I can remind myself that even tonight, sharing what I did with you tonight, I think I'll have to answer to that someday. I think I'll have to say, to Creator, that we came together this night on June 2nd, 2022, and I told you stories about the bones that I had, and the ancestors, and the eagle, and the spirit helpers, and the clans. And I want to walk to my Creator and say that I did that night with the utmost respect and honor of those that gave me those teachings. That I told that story to people that wanted to hear that story. And I feel good that I was able to pass that to you, because I think I want to be honorable to Creator, to say that I try to do everything with integrity, and I'm not perfect, as every human being is. But sitting here tonight with you, I wanted to be very clear to my Creator that everything that I told you tonight come from my experience, from what I've come to understand. And if it can help you in any way, maybe that's what it was meant to be, for us coming together on this beautiful night. So I wanna finalize with a song. But for those of you that understand the spirit of that migize, calling those spirits that were here all along, and giving thanks to those beautiful spirits of that eagle. Help me to understand those stories that I shared with you tonight. And I want to offer them a real quick acknowledgement of being here, and for your own spirit for being here and sharing that spirit with me tonight. Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, way, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, way, oh, way, hey, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, way, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, way, oh, way, hey, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, way, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, way, oh. And the final verse, as always is, it's for those that have gone on to the spirit world, the one that no longer need that heartbeat, the one that has gone and still gives us that inspiration. I always think about them in every ceremony, because they still direct me and give me inspiration, and the love that we have for my nephew tonight, especially, and for all your loved ones that still give you inspiration, you love, you care for, you wish they were still here. The last verse of this song is for them. It requires no drum, because the heartbeat is now with Creator. Way, hey, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, way, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, way, oh, way, hey, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, way, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, way, oh. Abujo, Chimigwech, Kajam Nado, Manda Ganaj one Gizga Nungum, Chimigwech, Kajam Nado, Kukina, Ningo do de Moin, Chimigwech, Kajam Nado, Manda Mino, Pamadazi win, Chimigwech, Kajam Nado, Kino Mage, and the Mishomsak no Kamisak Kaye. To our ancestors, to you, to your heart, to mine, this beautiful evening shared together was a gift for me, Chimigwech.
Myeengun, Myeengun, what a powerful teaching. We're getting comments coming in, and it's amazing. We're all here listening to the same words, but all these different people are getting touched in their own way. So miigwech for that. We do have time for a couple of questions. I'm gonna I'm going to read this first one here. It's a really good question. It says, it's from Tiffany. It says, Ani, my spirit name is woman who is beautiful as the fire Makwa clan. Miigwech for the circle. How do we deal with lateral violence in our communities and create more lateral kindness? Miigwech.
Our lateral violence, that comes from a person who's been abused or hurt, and what they do to react to people that they think they can overcome is by what they've learned. We've seen that in our history, with our people. We can overcome that though by being strong within yourself, knowing you just mentioned your spirit name. Turn to your spirit name when you need to. Turn to your colors. Turn to your clan. When things get out of hand, when somebody's violating you, through lateral violence, be stronger than that by knowing that you're confident, that you know who you are. You got your spirit name. You got the ability to overcome any of those things, because the problem is theirs. It's not yours. They're trying to put it on you, and you just use that spirit that you become to say, it's not going to take over me. I won't take that, and I won't allow that to ruin who I am. You have it. You have the ability to overcome any of those things.
Okay, congrats. So I was really that really resonated with me when you mentioned not just the Indigenous people across Turtle Island, but the people across all the nations, the red, the yellow, the white, and the black. And I thought, what a good place this is for that. Canada, where we have these Indigenous folks and all of these newcomers as well. It seems like we're in a really good place and time for building that that vision that you have. So a question I had was, for the non-Indigenous folks who are here, what do you think about people respectfully approaching to learn Indigenous ways and culture, or learning how to use our medicines?
Our medicines are here for all of us, but the best thing that you can do to honor the Indigenous people is to know yourself. You're an Indigenous person too. Everybody's Indigenous from someplace in the world. So find what your stories are, find out what your creation stories are, find out what your medicines are, and then we can converge them. Because if you lived in Canada for a long time, you have generations of family that lived here, and you don't really remember or know what, you might know you're Italian or a certain culture, but to get to know that culture, and then our medicines start working together because you bring them together. Instead of going to a culture that can deliver those things, you already have them within your own being, your own lineage. I work with the Muslim community, I work with the Asian community, and they kept a lot of their medicines alive, and we talk about those medicines. And we know that those medicines are strong when we put them together in a good way, but they know about them. So I think the best thing you can do is to know who you are, even if you have various cultures within you. Be proud of them, be honorable of them. And then we can talk together on the same voice. We're not always trying to teach you who we are, because the understanding will be very similar anyway, and we'll find commonality. So I think that's what allies and friends need to do these days, is to become honorable to themselves and walk this earth with unity with all the other nations.
Congrats. Okay, we've got a couple more questions, and folks, we have a little bit of time. If you want to ask, there's still time. We have a question here. It says, what message would you want to give to those Indigenous youth reconnecting to their Indigenous history? Where should they go to start their learning?
Youth that want to know our history, I think the first thing you need to do is to go find yourself, like I said earlier, sit on the earth, get that medicine, because what you're going to find in our history is going to be hurtful. The residential schools, the pain that we endured is going to be hurtful, and it's going to make you angry sometimes, right? So if you're going to go there and learn those things without being prepared, then that's what kind of, maybe there's too much anger in that. So go know that you're part of the earth. Sit there, talk to Mother Earth, ask the Creator for help. Say, I'm going to learn something, and it might not be very comfortable. This way, at least you're ready to learn about the true history of our people, to be able to know what happened to you and your family, through the residential schools. And now, rather than just getting so angry and frustrated, you'll find that balance of how to cope with the things that we can't change, but we can make life better. Because I think your challenge will be to make sure that never happens to you, your nation, ever again. And you teach your kids and you teach the community members, that I've been able to find the balance, and I'm going to do the best that I can for the rest of my life and for future generations. So the anger is going to be there. It's part of who we are. It's part of everybody, but there's a good way and a bad way to deal with it. But I think sitting on the earth, like I said earlier, getting connected with Mother Earth will help you endure any problem that you face, any other problem that you ever come up with. If you're prepared for that, you're going to deal with it a lot better. So that's what I would tell the youth, because this generation is going to be angry over what they've heard and what happened to them. So let's do that ceremony first. And that way we're prepared to deal with it better.
Miigwech. Okay. So Peter Howlett would like to share something with you and maybe get your interpretation, I guess. It says, bonjour, this is Peter Howlett. I once had a dream of a lodge that had grandmothers and a young native woman sitting in the east doorway. I went from the east, then to the south, and then to the west. In the southwest, there was a spirit being. It was a human and a thunderbird and a golden eagle all in one. Not sure what this dream meant or this vision meant, so he thought he'd look to you for maybe a bit of interpretation.
Well, Peter, that's going to take a little bit of time for us to look at. Sometimes, in order for me to interpret a dream or a thought, I don't even know. I'm a human being, so what I would do is I would use, and what I've come to know is my pipe ceremonies. I use my pipe to ask Creator for those things with you, so that we can interpret those things that Creator wants you to know. They say that when you dream about eagles or different things, there's meanings to those things. But for me as a human being, first hearing that, I would rather do a ceremony before I was able to help you with that type of thought or dream. And I would do it through a pipe ceremony. If that's what we ever want to do, we're welcome. You're welcome to do that with me. So I'll leave it there, because those are very deep-rooted types of questions.
Miigwech. That's actually a perfect segue for the next question. So who can come to you for help, maybe with naming ceremonies or healing or cultural advice, and how do they do that if they wanted to reach you or another elder? Or
I'm available. Like I keep myself available for people. Anybody who wants to come and chat with me about those types of things. But I also have been surrounded by other elders that might be beneficial too. My life has been all about meeting people and finding the gifts that people have. And so that's what I do now. When somebody comes in, maybe they're from a Cree or Haudenosaunee community that wants to learn those types of teachings. I've been very honored to have known those elders too. But, we can sit down and have a general conversation, reach out to me through SOHAC or through just call me at the university. I work here now. Talk to me and we'll define the time. If it's appropriate, we'll make sure, we meet if we have to, or we'll have conversations somehow. But I'm very open to conversation with anybody.
Miigwech. Yes, that's so nice to hear. I know there are a lot of people just looking for someone to connect with, so that's really great. Okay, we have another question. Do you think gardening is the same as sitting on the earth? I often find that answers to problems come to me when I'm in my garden.
You just put your hands on that earth, no matter how it is. If you're gardening or if you're just sitting out there, it all still works the same. But when you're gardening, you're actually doing two things. You're moving that earth around, you're creating life by the plants that you're growing, you're feeding it, you're caring for Mother Earth. That is like a wonderful way to connect with Earth. because those that like to garden know what I'm talking about. They know how you feel when you're out getting your hands dirty, sitting in the earth, and you feel that comfort of being part of Mother Earth again. Absolutely. You know, I wish everybody should garden a little bit more, because to know how to grow your plants, your medicines, it's an honor.
Okay, folks, that's the end of our question list. If there's any last second questions, now's the time. Otherwise, I'll just share with you, Myeengun. Everyone just had nothing but the greatest gratitude. Everyone saying miigwech for this, very touching. Sending love and compassion to you and your family for the loss of your nephew. Just a lot of gratitude here. So you've really done some wonderful things. We may have got another. Yeah, we got another one. Perfect. We still got a second here, so that's great. It's welcome. We have a question. How could we contribute to your work, to your dreams? What actions can we take?
Just come to know me. You know, like the best thing that money doesn't do anything. You know, I don't like the concept of money when we do I never took money for weddings or funerals, stuff like that. But I found a friend, and maybe we don't even believe in the same thing, but we become friends, and that's even better. Just to have more friends in life is truly the best thing you can ever do. Creator's been kind to me to be able to take care of me and my family, and even kinder when I get to meet somebody new and learn them and become friends with them. That is to me the ultimate gift, and that's the best way we can converge our knowledge.
Hey, chi miigwech. And we'll end on the last comment here that just says, I've learned a lot. Miigwech for sharing your personal stories. I just want to say I also feel very honored that you open your stories and you share them with us. We look forward to many more talks. With that, I'll just say chi miigwech, Myeengun, for your time, for your knowledge. We're all very blessed and lucky to have you. Oh, if you have time, do you have time for one last question here?
Sure.
Okay, we got a question from Leo that says, how important is the summer solstice for Indigenous people? Miigwech.
We look at our seasons very importantly. When we go into the summer season months, our new medicines start to grow. So in this region, those seasons mean a lot to us, because this is the time of new different medicines. You know, if you take your summer medicines, like your tonics, the ones that grow naturally during the summer months, that kind of fights off infections and things that grow within us. And there's medicines in the fall that we drink to keep, I guess we call it tonics. We drink natural medicines that grow every season. Even in wintertime, you can get medicine that grows and take those, and it fights off things that come onto you during those months. So I always tell people at the solstice, have your medicines ready for summer. Like when June 21st comes on, have your cedar tea, have your different medicines that grow in the summer. And then you fight off illness that happens during that season. So, and then we honor the passing of that time frame when Mother Earth does her axis turn during those times. And we honor all those things. So there's so many natural things to think about during the solstice, during those season changes, and our people always honored them.
Oh, such good advice. Okay, everyone, that's all the time we have for Q&A. We're gonna let Knowledge Keeper Myeengun Henry return to his life. On behalf of the Office of Indigenous Relations, I would really like to thank all of you for coming and joining us. There's many more events, as we've said. Please visit us on the website, uwaterloo/Indigenous, or just Google UWaterloo Indigenous. Lots of more workshops, lots of things to learn, lots of things to share. So with that, we'll just wish you all a good night. Thanks again for coming, and we'll see you at the next one.
Miigwech.
Bamapi.